Hi, welcome to our third Pink podcast. This is Roisin.
And this is Rodina.
And now our topic is about emotional intelligence. Maybe some people will ask, what is emotional intelligence?
Yep, a lot of people would wonder what does it really mean, or what does the terminology EQ stand for. A lot of people don't really are not familiar with what it means and if it's important or not. So, do you have any idea what is EQ?
In my opinion, I think EQ is like the people how to treat others, like they how to control their own emotions, so that they can succeed.
Yes, for sure. I agree with you because it is, I think, the meaning. It's how you control your emotions and how you involve it in work or life, or how you use your emotions intelligently to control your life.
Yes, it's true. Emotional intelligence is really, really important in our life because we have to face other people every day, and we need to deal with the relationship with them. And also we need to control our own emotion.
For sure, because I don't think that everyone you would meet in your life you're gonna like or love to deal with, but you're gonna have to. Or not all people are smart or work properly, so you have to handle yourself and try to calm down and try to take control of the situation so you can work with it. So I really think that the question that would be that would really make me wonder and make many wonder is that is EQ one of the important methods to succeed in life? So to figure this out.
So let's get to interview.
Let's go and some opinions. Today we're going to interview Christopher Hopwood, a doctor in clinical psychology. Right. So how are you, Doc?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
We're good. So today it's a pleasure for us to meet you and interview you. So thank you very much for having us here.
It's great to be here.
So we're going to ask you a first question about EQ, emotional intelligence.
Okay.
So how can you define emotional intelligence based on your professional knowledge?
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, it's actually a challenging thing to do, partly because of my deficiencies in knowing all the different areas of psychology. Emotional intelligence isn't something that I study directly. But I also think that there are some deficiencies with the idea of emotional intelligence. I'm not certain that the people who do study it have the most clear idea of what it is either. Partly because it's a very broad idea and it has a lot of different potential meanings. So for me, actually, I think a better term might be interpersonal intelligence, because it seems to me that when I've read research about it, it has a lot to do with understanding one's own social motivations, but also other people's motivations, and it may even boil down to something like empathy, or the ability to understand and feel what other people understand and feel and do. So I'm not a big fan of the term emotional intelligence. I think it should be interpersonal intelligence. But I'm not the world's expert on it either, so maybe there's something I don't know about it.
All right. So do you think psychology relates to emotional intelligence? Are they related to each other?
Absolutely. I think that to the extent that emotional intelligence is a thing, psychologists are well suited to study it.
Well, how is it how does it help you? How does it help a psychologist? Does it the emotional expressions, body language, or any of that emotional reaction? Does it help in curing patients?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I think that if we take seriously the idea that emotional intelligence is something, I think, for example, in clinical psychology, which is one thing I'm interested in, it's likely that clinicians who have more emotional intelligence will be more effective as psychotherapists than people who have less. There are some schools of psychotherapy that are kind of built around the idea of helping people to develop better emotional intelligence. One school uses the term mentalizing. So mentalizing means the ability to think through in your mind what the reasons for a behavior are. And some people act impulsively, and they don't really think through what's going on, and the idea is that that's not a good thing to do. And the more often you do that, the worse off you're going to be. So if you can teach patients to mentalize, then they presumably have better outcomes. And so I think both for clinicians, but also in terms of thinking about how to best help patients, the idea of helping them think more carefully and clearly about interpersonal motivations is a good idea.
So do you think emotional intelligence can be learned or can be changed?
So one issue is it depends on how you measure it. This mentalizing idea that I was talking about, I think that's one version of emotional intelligence, and certainly the entire basis of the therapy is the premise that you could change it, that you could help people become better mentalizers. Yeah. My guess is that an emotional intelligence instrument would correlate with a mentalizing instrument. Whether those two things are the same, I'm not really certain, because I'm not certain I understand what emotional intelligence is. But in clinical psychology, we kind of assume that people could become more, emotionally intelligent. So we hope, anyway, that that's possible.
All right. Mm-hmm. In your opinion, EQ and IQ, which is more important, and how does high EQ mean a successful life?
Well, I'm not a big fan of ors, so I have a hard time accepting the question, because I think that you have to be smart. I think let me put it differently. I think that the smarter you are, the more effective you're going to be in your life. And I think that the better you can understand your own motivations, and the better that you can understand other people's motivations, the more effective you're going to be in life. So I think that both of those things are good things to have, okay? And I also think that they're probably correlated with each other. I think that a person who's more academically successful is probably also likely to be more socially successful, probably also more likely to be athletically successful, and all kinds of other things. So parsing those out, if I had to choose, for example, for myself, would I rather be really smart but socially inept, or would I rather be really socially skilled but dumb? I don't know. I wouldn't want to have either.
Yeah, for sure. It's really complicated, but what if, let's say you're very intelligent and you didn't have a lot of time experiencing social relations and how to deal with people and all of that. Would that help you be successful in your job?
I think the issue there would be fitting your environment to your style. So, a person who's really intelligent but maybe doesn't have the best social skills, maybe they should have the kind of job where they don't have to interact with people much. Maybe they should be like an economist or an accountant or an engineer. On the other hand, maybe a person who's not the smartest but has extremely good social skills, maybe they could have a job that requires good social skills, like being an actor or being a salesperson or something like that. So to me, if you had one but not the other, it'd really be about trying to find the right job. Whereas I would imagine a person with both good emotional and intellectual intelligence, they could do nearly anything, is my guess.
So can you give us an example about using of EQ, like how are the people use their high EQ in their study or their working?
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly I guess the first example I think of is psychotherapy, because it's something that I do. Mm-hmm. I think that part of the task of being a psychotherapist is getting a good sense of how your patient feels, even if they're not quite able to tell you that, and also helping them understand maybe why they do the things that they do, even if they don't fully understand that. So I think it's if you couldn't do that, it'd be really hard to do psychotherapy.
After we finish interviewing the professor, we'll listen to some students' opinion. So, hello.
Hi.
Can you please introduce yourself to us?
Sure. My name is Hernan Hernandez, and I'm a senior here at Michigan State University with a major in Spanish and pre-med.
Mm-hmm. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Our first question is,
do you know what is emotional intelligence?
Not exactly in precise terms, but I can imagine something to do with your emotions and how you portray them.
True. Yep, exactly. That's the almost the definition of emotional intelligence is how you handle your emotions and work and able to be successful. So, do you think it is important to be able to handle your emotions in that way in your work or studying?
Yes, I do believe you should, because it plays a vital role in how your attitude goes on and how you interact with other people.
Yes. So can you illustrate someone who has high emotional intelligence, which you know?
I would say the people here that live in the dorms, especially in my floor, I'd say they're very emotionally intelligent in some aspects.
How can they have emotional intelligence, those that live in the dorm? Is it because they bear the noise, or?
I would say it's various factors. They have to cooperate with the noisiness of some students. We have to respect each other's privacy, and I'd say those would be some examples.
That's true. I live in dorms. I understand what you're talking about. It is true, emotional intelligence. So if it was up to you, you know the IQ, right?
Mm-hmm.
The intelligence test.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you had the choice to be very smart and have a high score in IQ but a low score in EQ, would you choose that or choose the opposite, high EQ but a low IQ?
I would go with the high IQ,
Mm-hmm.
Even if that means sacrificing social skills or the social behavior. I can deal with that.
Why?
Why? Not too sure why, just something I would prefer.
All right, thank you very much for your
You're
time.
welcome.
So hi, nice to meet you. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Roman Stotland. I'm a senior at MSU, the College of Telecommunications.
Okay. So our first question is,
Do you know what is emotional intelligence?
Guessing is the way that you control your emotions.
Exactly. That's the way it is. It's how you handle your emotions and deal with them, whether in your job, life. Whenever you feel like this emotional breakdown, you can control it. So do you think it is important to have an EQ, a high EQ, a high emotional intelligence?
I believe so. I also believe that it's something that develops as you get older, kind of like your IQ does. And it's very important not only at the workplace, but also just social activities and everything.
yes. So do you think EQ can be learned or can be changed?
I think it's definitely something that can be learned. I think it's something that you learn throughout age, depending on how older you are. The older you get, you know how to control yourself and how to act. As to if it can be changed, it can be not necessarily changed, but it can be altered when you're younger, I think. But once you get older, it's kind of like trying to teach old dog new tricks kind of thing.
So, do you think that women in their nature, their personality is very emotional? So, do you think that they can handle emotional situations better than males do?
It's commonly said that usually that's what happens. I would say that from what people see, like if you see women interacting, like say in public, it could be said true, but if it's on a personal level, I think both men and women can do just as well at the same level.
All right. So you're in between.
I'm in between.
And no sexist. All right.
So thank you very much.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
Hi girls. Now we will talk about emotional intelligence. So do you know what is emotional intelligence?
I think probably how can you handle your emotions is considered emotional intelligence.
Yeah, and the way you control yourself, depending on when you should show your emotion, things like that.
Okay. Do you think it's very important to have a high EQ?
I do think so.
I think so too. It's very important.
How is it important?
It gets you through the day. You have to have emotional intelligence. You have to know how to control your emotion in every single situation that happens in a regular day. If you don't have an EQ, you can just burst in front of anyone with your emotions if you don't know how to handle them correctly.
Yeah, if you have high EQ, you can handle things better than the people who have low EQ. And depending on the way you control yourself. Sometimes it's not good time for you to show your emotion. So
Yeah.
with high EQ, you can handle everything better.
All right. So when it comes to, would you give us an example?
Just do you know someone who has high EQ and so can you give us an example about that?
I'd probably say my mom because she's like, I see how she is like with marriage life and having to work till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, then coming and like I'm the eldest, so all my brothers and sisters are really young. So having to take care of each and every one of them, she still has the capacity of just smiling to all of us and just being nice, and she never goes like, okay, I'm tired, everyone just, I don't want to talk to anyone, I don't want to see anyone today, because sometimes you do feel like that, but she never like it doesn't show. She always shows like the smiley face that I'm there for you, the mother type,
She's so good.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
my idea of an emotional, like an EQ.
No?
Yeah.
Okay, I think my father also is a very good example for high EQ person.
Yeah.
And because like every time when I argue with him, he always be very patient to me, and he never get mad whatever I said.
Wow.
Yeah, and he always be very patient to tell me what I should do, which way is the correct way for me to do it. Yeah, I think. Yeah, my father is a great example for it.
Wow, that's cool.
If you have the opportunity to choose between IQ and EQ, to have a high EQ or a high IQ, what would you choose? Yeah.
Well, it's hard to choose, I think both of them are very important.
Mm-hmm.
And
What about you?
I agree. They complement each other. Actually, you can't have a high IQ and not have a high EQ.
Well,
if you
there
have,
are people that
there
do.
are people like that, but they won't always succeed. They would have that time when they're just stressed and they just have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
So I think with having a high IQ, you should have a high EQ too. So I think they do complement each other, and you should have one to complete the other.
yeah, you should combine them together. See, both of them are very important. You cannot handle things very well without one of them.
I see.
So, I think it's hard for people to choose which one do you prefer.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. After we heard the students thinking about emotional intelligence, and it seems like they are not very familiar with emotional intelligence.
Yep, that's true, Roshing. A lot of them didn't really know what did this term mean, but most of them really guessed it right. They knew how to what is it. They compared it to IQ, and that it's a test for your emotions though. So most of them, they could guess it right, but they are not familiar with it. Like, they're not aware of it. So you can say emotional intelligence is important, but not a lot of people are aware of its importance.
Yes, and we think IQ and EQ are both very important for us, because IQ is for our learning and working, and EQ is for our social communication.
True. Yep, so true. So this is all about it, guys. So we hope you enjoyed listening to our podcast.
Have a good end semester.
Bye bye.